So in
My
this
hands
video,
are
I want to show
stained.
how to trade against someone like Garen in the Garen matchup. So Garen usually likes to start out his trades with his Q, right? So you walk up to a CS, let's say there's a CS here, and he tries to hit his CS or try to Q you or try to bait uh, Q. So you always need to be ready to retaliate or like react to his trade. So usually if against Garen, what you can do, yeah,
So
like Garen, when
long
he
I've
Qs you, he
wandered.
silences you, right? But there's a thing you can do to out trade him. But this requires you to have low ping. If you don't have low ping, it's hard to do because I've tried it and I can't do it with low ping. Um, with high ping, I mean. So let's say Garen
Choose your
tries to
own
Q me.
path.
This is how he usually starts his trades, right? He tries to Q me. What you can do is you can Alt W E and you shield his Q damage and you disengage from his E, right? And thereby you just win the trade straight up.
What conflict awaits?
You could also, if you don't have low ping, you can just WE disengage. And if you want to trade into Garen, you need to play mind games. It is a tricky matchup. Riven does, Garen does counter Riven, as in the statistics it says so as well, and it also makes sense in the kits because he can always interrupt your combos. But if you stun him before he Qs you, this is where the mind games comes in because Garen Q can be buffered. If you go into Garen's range, if
To
you try to
serve the
stun him, he
greater
can
good.
buffer his Q through your stun and W and E, and you lose the trade. You always lose the trade, unless you're ahead, of course, right? But I'm talking about the early game where you're laning and you're trying to get a lead. So what you can do is play these mind games where you can try to bait his Q, right? Walk up, walk back, see what he
How should
does,
I proceed?
right? Or maybe just Q or like a QE like this, like it's really mini trade where you just QE and see what he does. And sometimes switch it up and then Q auto because he will not always just predict your QW and buffer his Q through it.
A
So in
sword
this way, you
mirrors
can
its
kind of
owner.
play with Garen and win against him. Another trade you can also do against Garen is a trade like this, where you E in and you W Q out, and then you can maybe Q3 on top of him because usually when you do something like this,
My
you bait his
spirit
Q
is
and you
not
try to
lost.
retaliate, and then you can Q3 on top of him the way out like this, and then Q3 again like this, right? So very short trades, but they probably don't matter later in the game unless you have something like Eclipse or if you have something like Sundered Sky. Your
Burdens of
trades
the
are still very
past.
bursty. Now against Garen later, he usually gets a lot of armor too, so you can't just all in him. He does outscale you as said. But what you can do is do short bursty trades, and you should pretty much be able to win against him.
My
The
hands are
only problem
stained.
is when he gets his stride breaker, he can slow you, and you can't do these short bursty stun trades. You could also do a trade like this where you Q3 and also WE out. But he can also buffer his
So
Q through
long
that as
I've
well.
wandered.
So that's kind of the problem with this Garen champ, right? Um, so yeah, that's just some info for you guys.